Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, we got a big week ahead. I mean, this is the week of earnings, as I will show you. If you saw my chart last week, it's going to be filled every single day, and there'll be a lot of economic news coming out. There'll be one thing missing this week, which I will not miss, and I'll show you that as well. Also, we're going to go over exactly what's finally happening, right? A lot of people have been waiting a long time for this, just waiting and waiting and waiting to see what happens to these generals. Remember, we talked about the general's got to be taken out, and then these semiconductor stocks, this AI pump, right? Some of that little air right there, now had to be taken out, and so that's what's happening, okay? And we're gonna go into all that and show you also some stocks to pay attention to because it never fails, right? You get a sell down in the market, but before that even starts, there's already stocks that have been sold down for weeks on end, big name stocks, right? That you see they're starting to try to base out now, right? While everything else is getting hammered, they're trying to form a base. These are the ones you want to look at and watch because these might be some stocks that you either invest in or have wanted to actually look for maybe opening position in. I'm going to show you a few of those. But, what do you see happening right now? This is what we talked about. In order to have a decent sell-off, you have to have the generals be taken out back and beaten down, right? So what's happening? The 50 moving average, which is a very important moving average. Meta failed it. Tesla, we know Tesla's a hot mess, right? Apple's been failed it. Nvidia dropped it. Netflix fell below it. Microsoft fell below it. Amazon starting to break down, falling below it. The only one that hasn't, surprisingly, is holding up better than any of them is Google. All right, does that surprise anybody? That is the one that is holding up the best so far. But when that 50 moving average gets lost, you've seen what happens to those stocks, right? It's like a waterfall happens. And of course, here's the semiconductors. Finally getting just absolutely taken out to the woodshed. I mean, ARM and Friday was just a massacre in semiconductors, by the way. And ARM just absolutely got pulverized, starting to fill this earnings gap finally. Also had SMCI, which I don't even have on here. That one got pulverized because it didn't give its preliminary earnings like it has the last 7 times, I believe. So the market's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? That one got taken out. AMD has been getting taken out to the woodshed again. It actually held up decently well compared to a lot of them because it's already down over 30%, right? And it broke a key level, but it did fill a gap right here. There is another gap right below that around 143 if it fills that one, and so it's filling gaps. If it gets down there, it'll be around the 200 and a major support area right there. And so that would be a great bounce time. But remember, this one's like some other stocks I'll show you. It's already been selling off. And remember its guidance last time. Right, it wasn't even that great, not like an NVIDIA type guidance to begin with. And so, and understand, I'm going to stop real quick before I go on the rest of them. And remember, when you are in an uptrend, you report earnings, you can get away with a whole lot of stuff. When you are in a downtrend, which we are now, you have a change in market structure, you better hang the moon on some freaking earnings because every little thing is going to be nitpicked and anything they can use against you to put you down and make what I mean by put you down, I mean bring that price down. They're gonna do it, okay? And so that's what you got to listen for on this earnings. Like if Netflix would report their earnings when we were in that super uptrend, they'd have been just fine. But they reported in a downtrend and they got punished, okay? So that's one thing you have to remember on this. Now, going back to AMD real quick, you can see what I'm talking about. Down 35% already to get down that 200 moving average. That will put it down to almost 40%. So that's a huge haircut, right? A lot of people will be looking to put an order in right there. Now, NVIDIA, obviously the king of it right here. This one right here broke down majorly on Friday, okay? It's coming down right here. Again, there's some gaps to be filled. That huge earning gap right there, which would take it all the way down to 685. If that were to happen, that would put it right around its 100 moving average. Not that the 100 matters a lot for a lot of stocks. I mean, can you imagine this thing coming down to the 200? I mean, that would be just unbelievable, right? But again, even if you got down to the 100, that's 30% on the king of AI. And this one, during its earnings, is actually reporting good earnings and good growth. So you got to give that one credit compared to a lot of the rest of these semiconductors who have just been basically following its coattails, okay? And some people look at this, see a head and shoulders. I mean, I guess you can see that, even though the problem is the left shoulder is higher than the head, so that don't make any sense to me. But again, break down here, expect some kind of bounce, though. I mean, I can't imagine it's going to keep going straight down, even though April was terrible for semiconductors, which you can see. But don't be surprised. When we look at the index, you'll see what I'm talking about, how we're getting oversold. I mean, 6 straight days on the S&P, which we're going to get into. It's just a mess. Now, hey guys, before we continue, please hit that thumbs up. Really appreciate it. It helps people find the video. And think about subscribing if you like this kind of content. Tesla, whoo boy, cannot buy a break. And I cannot wait to see what this stock opens up tomorrow at, just because I'm going to show you two pieces of news that came out of the weekend. But that trend line, right, between 138 140, right, long-term trend line, is a perfect bounce area. Whether that's going to happen tomorrow, 3 weeks from now, whatever it is, I'm not sure. But again, what they do, the market's been punishing them for this kind of news. They lower prices again over the weekend. At least that's the reports that came out. All right, and the Model Y, Model S, Model X. And then when you look, they postponed the trip to India to later on this year because they obviously got a lot of Tesla obligations. Also lowering prices on the full self-driving capability from 12,000 to 8,000. What does this do? All this digs into margins, which again, this is what they've been getting punished for, even though they have been selling down for quite a while now. And a bottom happens at some point in time. And so again, they're reporting earnings on Tuesday. The biggest and hardest thing to figure out with Tesla is what is baked into the cake so far. Again, the big question is, what is already baked in? Put in the comments, what do you think is baked in? Where are you picking the bottom? I'm reading all the comments you guys have put in there on Thursday's video and Saturday, and it's all over the place. Some people are saying sub 100, some people are saying 135, 140, and that trend line is key. If that breaks, oh boy. I mean, some of you gonna get your wish, because that trend line goes way back, and it's bounced and saved. It saved it when it went down to that $101 price, right? And so that is going to be key. So for those who want sub 100, you want that trend line to break. For those who do not and have been dip buying all the way down, you want that trend line to hold, okay? But put your prediction in the bottom. And now we got the S&P here, which is not the worst of the two. We'll go over the Q, but now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red days. And 5 red days I read has only happened 80 times since 1995. That is not a lot, by the way. 6 days I'm not sure about. I'll try to find out for you. But it's the first time it's happened since 2022 right now. So it's been a couple years. And so it's not, again, it's a rare thing. It's not a lot, but you get this many red days. The problem is you got the stuff going in the Middle East. You got all these semiconductors and generals, which have been obviously way overextended, getting taken out and beaten down finally. And that's how you get your move down. Because the funny thing is, if you look, the QQEW was 0.4% green on Friday. So all the other smaller stocks are getting bought up, right? And so think about that. So the breadth wasn't that bad Friday. So we'll see if that means there's going to be a bounce, bottom, whatever it's going to be. But again, it filled that gap right there. That's a big one. All right, you always love to see gaps like that filled. Getting near the 100, not quite there. RSI is getting too oversold, still not at that point yet, but very, very, very close, okay? And when I switch over, and I'm telling you now, when I switch over to the futures, you can see right here, every time we get oversold, we got some form of a bounce. So was it a dead cat bounce? Most likely, that's what everybody's predicting here, and that's what you got right there on the last sell-off. But I'm telling you, when I switch to the futures, everybody and their mother is expecting this area right here around 5160 to be the bounce point to go to before we continue the downtrend. Now, earnings, things like that will have a lot to do with this, of course. But again, that's where I'm just letting you know where everybody's looking at on this. I mean, a lot of people. The Qs, of course, have gotten it worse. They've already broke the 100. Why? Right now, a pretty decent support level right there. But why? It's because, again, high tech and big tech is just getting sold off, right? And this one right here, you can see it had consolidated and topped out well before the S&P did, okay? And so if that level right there around 412 doesn't hold, then you can definitely look to go sub 4 and go around 393 is what a lot of people are going to be targeting, which not even 393, really it's going to be the 200. I mean, it should put it around like maybe 398, somewhere in there. Now, when you look, stocks like this, big ones, CrowdStrike, right? It's been selling off, right? This thing is down massive. It's broke its 100 moving average. It broke its previous all-time high that it already broke before. Didn't test that successfully. So this is one to watch. If you're looking to get into cybersecurity, then this will be one to watch. Maybe you finally get down to that 200 moving average, which would be sweet, right? It's been resistance. Hadn't touched it in probably a year and a half. So, that's a big one to watch out for. I know a lot of people like this stock for sure. And of course, what's the FBI, head of the FBI coming out saying this weekend? Watch out for cybersecurity attacks from China and things like that. So, that'll help these kind of stocks. And again, if it gets to the 200, if it got there quickly, you would see that actually coincide with a nice level of support there, right around 240 right there. And so that's a nice little target. I'm going to actually mark me a line there to see if that hits or not. If it doesn't, oh well, let it just run and do its thing. But that would be a nice little area that's coming at. They've had, decent earnings and stuff, as we've talked about. But again, these are stocks that got way ahead of themselves. Look at that run up. Crazy run up, right? And when you look at another one here, you're talking about PAN-W. This one right here, so this 50 Fibonacci, it's already broke all its moving averages, trying to recover. Again, trying to get above 277. And I think the reason why Pelosi has her call options in this one, and probably others, is because, she has the inside track on what's going on with national security, cyber stuff, things like that. But again, a lot of people on this one I know that I respect are sitting there saying, man, if this thing getting like 252 to 255, yeah, they would absolutely pile into this one as well. So watch out for that. Another one's Lululemon, right? So here forming a bottom while everything else is selling off and looking terrible. This one right here is starting to form a bottom, bounced off that longer term trend line. And so this is another to watch out for. Has a great big fall into it. Sitting around 351 now. And don't forget, this thing got up to 520, which is just insane. Let me know if you shop at Lululemon, but yeah, down 38% at one time right there. That's a big drop, okay? Another one, believe it or not, it's going to be Apple. Anywhere from 152 to where it's at now, if it's dropped below that level right there. But again, we pull up the moving average and stuff. Apple is Apple. And so they hadn't even got an AI pump yet, right? They got that news. They came out and said, oh, we're going to do this with AI. And people are like, yay, we got to love it. But, they really hadn't done anything with AI. So if they come out on earnings, when it comes up and starts talking about these 40 companies they bought and this is the plan and all that stuff, you don't think Wall Street's going to love that? Absolutely. It's sitting as 100-week moving average right now. We'll see if that holds, but it's kind of in no man's place, right? We're sitting here in this volume gap. You can see that big volume gap right there. So again, it's fell below that support area. So if it keeps falling and it gets down to 150s and people don't start buying, I'm going to be stunned. Let me know if Apple gets to 150s, are you a buyer? Okay, I believe people will be. Now, earnings, like I said, is loaded. All right, Verizon in the morning. You have Cleveland Cliffs, Nucor. Monday, not so bad. Then you start getting into Tuesday. Okay, you're going to end up with GM in the morning, UPS, PepsiCo, right? A lot of big ones in here. Then you get in the afternoon, here comes Tesla, right? Tesla, Visa, Enphase, Texas Instruments, all right? So those are going to be some big ones to watch out for. Then on Wednesday, Boeing, AT&T, Humana, General Dynamics. Then we got Meta, IBM, Ford, Chipotle. Those are going to be the big ones. Thursday, here comes some more mega caps reporting right here. So in the morning time, you'll get Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, American Airlines, and then the big ones, Microsoft, Alphabet, Intel, Snap, Roku, the high beta stuff right there. Those Roku's just been absolutely obliterated. And then Friday, you'll get your oil stocks, Exxon, Chevron, then AbbVie's going to be another one. A lot of healthcare stocks coming on Friday. And you can see by this chart right here, like this is the week for earnings. Okay, this week right here is the big one. And after that, we'll have a boatload as well. And the one thing you will not have is any Fed speakers to talk about rate cuts, inflation, none of that to put any weight on the market or anything, or pump it or anything else. But when you look at economic data, there is a lot of it. Monday, don't worry about it. Not going to have a whole lot. But Tuesday, you're going to start off with S&P Global Composite PMI Flash numbers, manufacturing PMI Flash, services PMI Flash, new home sales. I can only imagine new home sales has got to be better than existing home sales, right? Then you'll have more manufacturing data coming out of the Richmond Fed right there. There'll be a lot of small bill auctions, 2-year, 5-year, some weekly options, that kind of weekly bonds, that kind of stuff. So I don't think that's going to affect anything too much, to be honest with you. Wednesday, you're going to come out with more, durable goods data. Nothing that the markets really care too much about. Again, there's a 5-year, 2-year. We'll see. That should go fine, I would think, because the rates are high enough. Thursday, red folder news as well. We're going to have core PCE prices, GDP growth, continuous initial jobless claims, PCE prices, real consumer spending is going to be another one, inventories, all that fun stuff is going to be hitting the tape right there. A lot of manufacturing data coming out of Kansas Fed. We'll see how it goes. More smaller note auctions. Friday, core PCE price index month over month, year over year. And then Michigan consumer sentiment, which may affect the markets a little bit. So again, it's going to be just a lot of red folder news, a lot of earnings coming out. The good thing is no Fed speakers to weigh it down. We just got to see, because there's going to be a bounce. There is. It's the way it always works, right? So you just got to figure, which ones are obviously the semiconductors and your big boys coming back or not, and watch QQEW and then RSP, because those are your equal weight ETFs. If those are showing up green, even though maybe the QQQ and the SPY are not, and let you know breadth is not bad. Money's just rotating from the big boys and these basically overextended areas into the other stocks. We just don't have a lot of weight, right? So watch out for that as well. But again, it'll be a busy week, and I'll be here every day to keep you up to date. So please hit the like and subscribe button on your way out, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.